Hello, strategist. Today we dismantle the system Julius Caesar used to dominate Rome, not through chaos, but through calculated power. Rome did not fall to Caesar in a single act of violence. It yielded, slowly, deliberately, long before the Senate ever understood it had lost control. To comprehend Caesar's dominance, one must first understand the nature of the Roman Republic itself. Rome was not built for speed. It was engineered for balance, hesitation, and restraint. Power was divided, offices were temporary, and ambition was kept in check by tradition and ritual. In theory, no man could rise too high without being pulled back down. Caesar recognized this not as a safeguard, but as a weakness. Where others sought to maneuver within the system, Caesar mastered the tempo of it. He understood that power in Rome did not belong to those with the most virtue, but to those who could seize momentum and force events forward. This insight formed the foundation of his system. Caesar realized early that legitimacy was not granted by law alone. It was earned through results. Rome condemned ambition in words, yet rewarded it in practice. A victorious general was forgiven crimes a failed one would never survive. So Caesar ensured one thing above all else: he would not fail. Yet here lies the crucial distinction. Caesar did not pursue glory for its own sake. He pursued dependence. Every campaign he waged was designed not merely to defeat an enemy, but to make Rome reliant on him. His wars expanded territory, filled the treasury, and delivered prestige to the Republic. Rome prospered, and Caesar became indispensable. As Rome grew wealthier, its resistance grew quieter. This was the first pillar of Caesar's system: create success so overwhelming that opposition becomes self-destructive. To oppose Caesar was to oppose Rome's expansion, Rome's wealth, Rome's pride. His enemies were trapped in an impossible dilemma: resist him and appear disloyal, or tolerate him and watch his power grow unchecked. Caesar understood a truth that echoes across all eras: people rarely challenge power while they are benefiting from it. Senators gained stability, merchants gained trade, soldiers gained spoils and loyalty. The people gained bread, spectacle, and security. Each group became invested in Caesar's ascent, whether they acknowledged it or not. And while Rome debated morality, Caesar delivered outcomes. In a rare moment where we hear Caesar in his own voice, he would later observe, "Men willingly believe what they wish to be true." Rome wanted Caesar to be a savior. He built a system that fed that desire. But victories abroad alone would have made Caesar powerful, not dominant. The second layer of his system operated on psychology. Caesar understood that fear provokes resistance, but admiration grants permission. He displayed mercy publicly. He forgave enemies conspicuously. He declined titles before accepting them. These were not acts of weakness, they were acts of strategy. Every pardon created obligation. Every refusal disarmed suspicion. Every display of restraint made his eventual authority appear necessary rather than dangerous. Rome reassured itself with a comforting illusion. Caesar could seize power, but surely he would never abuse it. That belief became his greatest weapon. By the time Rome questioned his intentions, the machinery meant to stop him had already rusted away. This is the essence of Caesar's system thus far. Win externally with such force that internal resistance collapses on its own. In the next section, we will examine how Caesar transformed loyalty into a weapon, not through ideology, but through something far more enduring: personal allegiance, forged in blood, reward, and shared destiny. Because once Caesar secured the loyalty of men, Rome itself became negotiable. If success was the foundation of Caesar's power, loyalty was the structure that rose upon it. Caesar understood something most leaders never grasp. Institutions do not hold power. People do, and people are loyal not to ideas, but to those who shape their fate. The Roman Republic believed loyalty belonged to the state. Caesar ensured it belonged to him. His legions were not merely soldiers, they were participants in his destiny. Caesar lived among his men, he marched with them, he endured the same hunger, the same cold, the same bloodshed. He remembered names, he rewarded courage publicly and punished betrayal decisively. Victory under Caesar was personal. He did not command from distance, he bonded through proximity. This created something far more dangerous than obedience. It created allegiance. Roman soldiers swore loyalty to Rome in name, but to Caesar in reality. Their wealth, their honor, their futures were tied not to the Senate, but to the man who led them to victory. This was no accident. Caesar paid his soldiers generously, often from his own funds. He distributed land. He ensured veterans were not forgotten once wars ended. Every reward reinforced a simple truth: your life improves under Caesar. And so loyalty hardened. This was the second pillar of his system: make loyalty more rational than rebellion. A soldier choosing between Caesar and the Senate was not choosing ideology. He was choosing survival, prosperity, and belonging. The Senate underestimated this dynamic entirely. They believed authority came from office. Caesar knew authority came from gratitude, but loyalty alone was not enough. Caesar understood that loyalty must be tested, proven, and sharpened. That moment came at the Rubicon. Crossing the Rubicon was not merely a military maneuver, it was a psychological commitment. Once crossed, there was no legal return. Caesar forced his men to make a choice that could not be undone. By following him, they became outlaws alongside him. This was deliberate. Shared risk forges unbreakable bonds. When men stake their lives together against the world, loyalty transforms into identity. Caesar did not say, "Follow me." He said, "Stand with me," or "Stand against fate." In another rare moment where Caesar's own words surface, he famously declared, "The die is cast." This was not bravado, it was strategy. From that moment forward, Caesar's fate and his soldiers' fate were inseparable. If he fell, they fell. If he rose, they rose. Rome no longer faced a general, it faced a living coalition. And here lies the brilliance of Caesar's system. He made personal loyalty so strong that the Republic itself became secondary. The Senate could issue decrees, Caesar commanded men. The Senate debated legality, Caesar controlled reality. Once loyalty shifted, the outcome was inevitable. Because when power is questioned, law speaks, but loyalty moves. In the next section, we will examine how Caesar neutralized his enemies without destroying them. How he weaponized mercy, not as compassion, but as a tool of dominance. Because the most dangerous enemy is not the one you kill, it is the one who lives, indebted to you. By the time Caesar's enemies recognized his strength, it was already too late to confront it directly. So Caesar changed the nature of the conflict. Where Rome expected terror, he offered mercy. Where his enemies prepared for annihilation, he extended pardon. This was not compassion, it was control. Caesar understood that violence ends resistance, but mercy rearranges it. An enemy who is killed is gone. An enemy who is spared lives and remembers. This was the third pillar of Caesar's system: turn enemies into instruments of stability. After victory, Caesar did not purge Rome of its elite. He welcomed former enemies back into public life. Senators who had once opposed him were forgiven, restored, and even promoted. On the surface, this appeared magnanimous. In reality, it was suffocating. A forgiven enemy is bound by debt. A spared rival is stripped of moral authority. How can a man oppose the leader who spared his life? How can he rally others without appearing ungrateful, treacherous, or weak? Caesar understood the psychology of obligation better than any Roman before him. Mercy did not free his enemies, it neutralized them. Every pardon created a man who owed Caesar his position, his safety, and often his reputation. Resistance became awkward. Dissent became lonely. Rome's opposition did not vanish. It hesitated. This hesitation was fatal. Caesar also understood the power of contrast. His mercy made his enemies look cruel by comparison. Those who resisted him appeared vindictive, unstable, even dangerous to the public. In a republic exhausted by civil conflict, Caesar became the symbol of order, and order is seductive. Once again, Caesar allowed Rome to lie to itself. It told itself he was restoring balance, not dismantling it. In another moment where Caesar's own words echo through history, he famously stated, "I had rather be first in a village than second at Rome." This was not arrogance, it was insight. Caesar understood hierarchy. He understood that control matters more than prestige, and that influence over people outweighs titles granted by institutions. His mercy reinforced this hierarchy. Those beneath him lived at his discretion. Those above him no longer existed. Yet mercy alone was not enough. Caesar paired forgiveness with visibility. He made his pardons public. He staged them. He allowed Rome to witness his restraint. Every spared enemy became living propaganda for his authority. The message was unmistakable. Caesar did not need fear to rule. By the time his enemies realized mercy was a cage, not a gift, the door had already closed. This is the brilliance and the danger of Caesar's system. He did not crush Rome, he convinced it to consent. In the next section, we will examine how Caesar centralized power while appearing to refuse it, how he dismantled the Republic by pretending to protect it. Because the most effective tyrants are not those who seize power openly, but those who make power feel unavoidable.